Well, hey, no blowout. And then, hey, if you would have listened to your boy, them Lions came up with that upset victory. Yo, I was like, I got it. I called it. Now, for real, though. Was glad football back. Uh, it was an interesting game. As far as, week one matchups, nothing really can't. You don't want to really pull this way. You don't really want to pull that way. You want to be like, oh my God, season's over. But you also want to be like, yo, they about to win the whole thing. So, uh, it's really weird as far as the game to me, just because I felt like a little bit like uh, once both teams are like like 2-3 weeks from now, I feel like they'll be fine. I was like a little sluggish in some parts where it was just like there was a lot of drop balls here, and I feel like maybe early week jitters. Uh, few missed tackles. I was like the Chiefs. They seemed like they cut. I was like, I mean, also too, the dude Gibbs was over here. I was like, yo, he was pressing that B button. He was over here getting them spins going, like them contact get off me. As far as like some of that went down. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't realize that Marvin Jones was back on the Lions. That was crazy. Also, weird seeing like a number zero. Weird observations. Shout out to Stu guys. But I feel like the Lions are. I feel like the Lions are actually fine here. I was like, and we're not going to overreact on the cheap, but the Lions, I think, fine. I was like, mainly because their game is really like they want to run the ball type of team. Like Bush Matthew kind of thing. So it's like, and that sets up more of their passing. But I thought Goff did a really good job of moving in the pocket. Um, like stemming into his throws a couple times. I mean, no, he wasn't perfect, nothing like that. But it seemed like he's on what he was last. He continued from last year, than like the prior year, or what we thought of Golf. Um, yeah, I was like, I feel like the weapons are good. I was like, nobody, there was, other than St. Brown, nobody's stepping out and being spectacular as of right now. Week one, of course, nobody was really step. I was like I said, I think Gibbs could be dynamic. Because I was like, it was a different run when he was running compared to Montgomery. Montgomery's there to get them tough yards anyway. Um, yeah, so I was like, and I was like, the defense looked very. I was like, they look very like optimistic defense. I was like, it seems like yes, it's like they'll play solid, but you can also tell like they're around the ball. I felt like they kind of could have had a couple more interceptions and stuff like that. That would actually say it's probably more Mahomes than like the one that Branch got from Tony, where that was Tony's fault. Was speaking of which, rough night. I forgot they had Valdez on their team. Um, I was like, Tony was supposed to be the one that like sort of unlocks this offense, and he's sort of the one that actually put them in some situations a lot tonight. Uh, of course, the interception and stuff like that. He had a couple drops, but that last one, that towards the end of the game, because if he would have caught that one, nobody's catching him. I mean, maybe but they would have had a chance to win if he would have caught that ball. Um, and I think as great as Mahomes is, and there was still like times where like Mahomes was, when it was like it was like 4 for 25. It was almost like the Super Bowl back again, where he just like went to the left, threw it across to the right, and there was two receivers, and I was like, and if Moore was 6'3", he'd have caught that ball. That's how crazy that was. Um, and as much as like remember like during the Super Bowl, speaking of how Mahomes was really great and fantastic, the line was really the problem where like it just negated everything he did, even though it was very magical what he was doing. And that's sort of how it felt tonight. That's like the offensive line was like good. It was keeping everything pretty much, even though Mahomes had to, do be a little scat back here and there every now and then. I was like, they pretty much kept everything right there. And the receivers there's just nothing special about none of the receivers that make it past. You have to scheme them open, and that's sort of where like you could feel like Kelce not being there was a problem because there was nothing to like gear the defense to a particular person, and this is sort of to me. I was like, you got Moore, you got Tony, so you're hoping like one of them can break out into something dynamic. Scandaz is just really just there to be like, like he's more of a just a big threat more than like like when he was the Packers, he was actually like a deep threat type of person. Here, I was like, it had to really hit here in with the Chiefs, and you're hoping that they had let Juju go because he was going to go and get more money. They didn't really pursue Hopkins or nothing like that, and so they did get Odell. So you're just sort of wondering and hoping that one of them, I was like Rice was sort of like did a couple good plays today. You're just hoping that somebody breaks out because as great as Mahomes is, he can only do so much and move around to opening people up so much. But if there's nothing that's because even the other receiver they had was like Hardman, I was like he was still a speedster. I was like yes they had like Hill and stuff and he's a different guy and all of this stuff. But they had people that was there for a long time that sort of knew the system where like most of the people like they've been there a year. But are they in the system to where it's like there's not a special attribute really to get them to where they need to be. You would think so with Tony and Moore. They and of course week one, I'm gonna keep on saying that I was like that their specialty is like make a dude miss and it's over. So maybe I was like it was just week one they didn't have Kelce. They their other tight ends aren't really spectacular. Gray is okay, and Bell that went from quarterback to receiver. I was like, he's very athletic, but it doesn't really look like as a tight end as much as when he was sort of like as a receiver. I mean, as a quarterback. I was like, this is nothing to be like, oh my god about. I was like, unless this looks. I mean, they still put up like 20 points. So I was like. And they also was like playing also without Chris Jones, so I was like, so the defense was also, but I was like the defense still did a pretty good job because they limited the Lions only to like 21. That was like a hard 21. So I was like, there's no panic button, of course, week one once again, but it is something that could be a problem later on. Just because when you have receivers like this, and if they're going to be sort of pedestrian, then that means you're going to need a really good offensive coordinator and schemer to come up with some ways to get them the ball more in playmaking spots. Maybe give them the ball early, and screens and stuff like that. But I don't know that there's anybody here that can just win their matchups in a way that's like, okay, we got this. And I was like, maybe once Kelce comes up and hit, I was like, but you also don't want to lean on that so heavily because, like everything in football is one injury away. But, hey, we didn't get a blowout. We got a pretty good game. I was like, going into week one, hey, I'm not going to complain. I don't think there should be nobody panicking. I was like, the Lions look fine, but they also can improve as themselves. So, hey, we're all good. Anyway, that is some Thursday night football. I was like, I ain't no Collinsworth, but hey, I put a little salt up on there. I was like, I can season it a little bit. Anyway, if you liked any of this video, I appreciate it. Thanks. Other than that, hey, maybe next time. But other than that, I'm out.